Hello everyone, welcome to the Watch Poplars. Today, I will be pruning up some of my succulents, mainly stone crops, because they form shapes. They form tree-like shapes and shrimps. So I would like to start. This is very top-heavy. It's getting very top-heavy. I had to put rocks in here. It's fallen over a few times, and so I want to reduce the weight of it. And yeah, just take weight out of the top. Add taper and movement to the branches. And yeah, it would give me more branches. And these root very well. They like moisture. They grow in more moist areas than, you'd think that they're succulents because they like to be dry, and that's true, but they grow in wetter areas, so maybe they can dry out a slight bit like during the winter, but during the summer you got to keep the soil moist. But you cannot keep it like soaking wet. You have to have a fast draining soil so that it can dry out, and it doesn't, this soil holds more moisture. I try to keep my succulents in a very fast draining, quick dry soil like this. This is just chunks of rock that I probably should have sifted before I put it in here, but I don't have a sifter. But next I want to prune up this, and there are some shoots developing here. You can see there's a shoot, and I'm not going to prune exactly to those shoots. I'm just going to prune the tips off of every single branch so that those shoots can continue to grow. But regardless, whether I'm saving the amount of growth I am keeping or not, I'm going to prune to an outward facing leaf. So here's an outward facing leaf here. Now, I am debating whether I should style this in a windblown style, because it is kind of growing like that. It was growing right there with the other succulents, but it was growing in an area where the water pooled and flowed past over the roots, and I didn't want it to rot. So I saved it, and the other succulents over there are growing in places where the water does not pool, and they're growing amongst the rocks. But yeah, so here, and I don't want to prune it too hard. I mean, it's summer, so I think it is water demanding enough that it could be safe to do this, to prune it a little bit more than this, but I'm just gonna do it. I mean, pruning the growing tip is a good way to slow down the growth. So I'll just fit my scissors like that and just prune off every single tip, mainly towards outward facing leaves. A lot of these leaves are very close together, and I gotta be careful about where I'm pruning. Yeah, okay, I gotta be careful about the phacelia right here, this native phacelia, because it has urticating hairs, just like stinging nettle. And this is very heavy, so, I'm gonna let this dry out. Or maybe it's just the water in the succulent. It could be that. I would doubt that the soil is heavy. But I should repot this next summer, because summer is the time to repot succulents, as that's the time they're most happy, and that's the time they're most able to recover quickly, even during summer. But you gotta still keep up, so I can water this every, like, you know, a few days once. But you know, these, if these don't rot, they're gonna sprout, and I don't want them sprouting under the benches. I had to wait until the sirens passed by. I feel like whenever I hear sirens that get close, then it always ends up being up the road. I'm gonna perfect some of the cuts. Okay, next I want to, you know, remove some leaves that are cluttering, so there's more light for the shoots. And here I'm looking. I think, yeah. Well, these that can be removed. I already damaged this one. It's gonna fall off anyway. I think that's got it. You see, yeah, those shoots are less heavy now, and they're a bit more compact. So the new growth, it's starting to come in like just short of where the leaves start falling off. So I can let those develop, and then next year I'll prune back to those ones. There's also a shoot here. I don't want it growing there. And I think next I want to prune off these stubs. There's lots of stubs from other branches that I did not want. There's a dead section here. And surprisingly, this succulent has deadwood. And I have never heard of a succulent with deadwood before, because often they don't like forming deadwood, as they are not woody. But it just, I mean, look at that. It looks like a branch got torn off. And there's the dead part. It's like rolling over the wound like it does on a branch. And I think next summer, I'm gonna repot it into a smaller pot, so that it will be more to size, because this, and hopefully someday I can find a pot that has like an inward curved lip, so that it just really holds the succulents in place. Because without the inward curving lip, if it's only like that, the succulent can just slip out. But I mean, like something like this would be nice, but for like a larger, like something like this, but it's way smaller, because that's like bigger than my foot. Yeah, that would be nice to have more pots like that for my succulents, to really hold them, because they don't have they're very heavy at the top, and they don't often get very coarse roots. They often have very fine roots. I can also prune back this. This is dead. It's not going to come back. And that, and a stub. But the Haworthias are flowering, and they are in the asparagus family. And so you often, like, Amaryllis is an Asparagaceae. It's an order of asparagus, and they all have 6 petals, or whatever these are. No, 3 petals and 3 sepals, I think. I'm not sure. But it appears to have 6 petals, and often, like, your hyacinth, iris, true lilies, not aroids. Daffodils are in the asparagus family, and also agaves are in the Agavaceae family, so they have their own family. I do have a few updates. I collected another big leaf maple seedling. I'm pretty sure it is big leaf maple. And it had 2 of the very first leaves. Oh wait, no. No, it already had its cotyledons. Right here. There's two nodes. Right here. But then there's a set right here. That's where the 2 triangular shaped leaves were. And those fell off and crispy, but then it started sprouting. So, because it's getting fertilized, I water it with fertilizer now. Because I'm trying to invigorate my trees that are weak, but I'm doing it to every single plant I have. But these, I think they are senna, and for the first time since being started from a seed, they actually have large leaves now. And they're very tender. They're very soft. They're very, very tender. This is very vigorous growth. And I don't know how much these are gonna grow, but I didn't reprune these. I didn't touch any of these at all. But, you know, half of them died when I was away in Colorado because they were not watered, barely. But these are the ones that I think they're gonna make it. So I'll keep these. I kind of am now regretting getting rid of some of my legumes because I do like legumes. I have this locust that is, you know, just starting to put out compound leaves, and I have redbud, I have senna, I have the 1 remaining acacia from Florida, and oh god, and I hope it recovers soon because I do not want to lose this. So yeah, there's a senna. It has grown 2 inches, roughly. Well, there's last year's growth at the bottom, and then this is this year's growth. I think they're semi-evergreen in this climate, and I think they get yellow flowers. And I don't know how hardy they are, but there's also these strange things at the nodes. And I don't know what they are. Bumps. And I don't know what they do, or what they would do if I removed these leaflets. If they would sprout more, because I don't think they would, because this is not branch tissue. It's a leaf stem tissue, it's petiole tissue. So it can't produce, new leaves from this junction, because this here is a leaf. I don't know what they are, but that's probably one of the diagnostic factors in identifying this as senna, if it is senna. So, if I want to know exactly what this is, I'm probably going to have to get really close up and look at that, whatever this is. It's a knob. It's a weird little knob at the junction of the leaflets. Yeah, this is like the darkest green. I don't know. And not many of my trees, aside from that invasive blackberry. There's an invasive blackberry over there. And that's the only other one that has such dark leaves. But as well as the poplars, the white poplars, they have very dark leaves. But that's also thanks to the fertilizer. If I didn't fertilize, you know, these leaves would probably be that color. They'd be a lot lighter. And, you know, so I think that the color of my plants right now is as if we got summer rain. Because, you know, the tap water, it doesn't help with the color of the foliage. This used to be very bright green, and it's a lot darker than the ones over there, because I water those with tap water. And, you know, these, I mean, the willow herb here is getting so dark that I'm seeing the reflection of the sky in it. And, you know, it's almost looking metallic. You can see it. They're very, very dark green. And these used to be a lot lighter. Like that color. But I'm fighting. Ever since I started fertilizing, I'm fighting to keep these from getting warped by the aphid attacks that are just non-stop. So I have to take my time, you know, every day to inspect each tip of the willow herb, because I do not want this. I don't want to have an aphid breakout. And these are really nice native plants. They grow like a weed, so they're very nice. Instead of watering a bunch of invasive non-native grasses that don't flower, they don't have very good flowers, water a field of these. I mean, these, they may be small in the sun, but, you know, they can get really tall when their conditions are right. And apparently these are very happy willow herb. Now I might stop fertilizing later in the summer, so that the reddish, the leaf veins turn red, and you know, so that these start to wither back to the ground surface, which is absolutely covered in willow herb seedlings. And it's so much, I have to thin them out. It's just so crazy. And there is my pot of weeds. A lot of invasive plants here, but there are some native, like the plantain. It's just a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of prickly lettuce, which is very invasive. There's this harmless non-native, the cushion flower. There's a mustard that's invasive. There's snapdragons, like the one over there, and the legumes. There's Senecchio. I don't know. Oh, wait, that's a snapdragon. I don't know what this is. It's an aster of some kind. Invasive Euphorbia peplis. And there's this harmless non-native. There's a invasive forget-me-not, daisy. Oh, there's invasive geranium seedlings in here. Yeah, but I keep all of them contained. Aside from the plantain, I don't know what the seeds look like. I don't know when it will seed, but it's just shedding its stamens right now. These probably ripen. I don't know. There's a mullein in here. There's mullein. That's very invasive. But I'll keep an eye on this so that the seeds do not escape. So all of my guilty pleasures are right here. And I really like growing things very densely because it looks really nice. And when you look at an individual plant, it gives you a short window of seasonal change. Every time it does change, like fall colors. These turn purple. Last year I let one grow 1 meter tall in one of my pots, and it turned purple. And yeah, it was like purple and pink in mid-November. But anyway, I had a lot of fun pruning this stone crop. I think it's a sedum for the first time, and I hope to keep this alive during the winter and not let it get rained on for one cold night and then find out it's rotting like 2 days later. You want to keep it dry during the winter, but this is starting off very well, and I did not do any work to this until now. The top kind of died off a little bit, and then it started sprouting back this year. So with that, this is really nice. This is probably this is the best succulent bonsai I have, and I think it is going to be the best for as far as I can see in the future. And that is all for today. Thanks for joining me here among the watch poplars.